It's lights out and away we go. Hello, racers. Welcome to episode 4 of the Harder Soft Formula One podcast. I am your host, Adrian Huff, and I'm joined always by my co-host slash producer, RJ McCullough. What's up, RJ?
Hello. Thank you, Adrian. Just wow is pretty much all you can say after today. I mean, I woke up with a smile on my face. I'm still kind of buzzing from it all. I mean, we'll get into the race obviously in detail in a little bit.
Yes.
But I just want to say after everything, after all the testing and after all the everything, Lewis Hamilton still got another podium.
Yes.
And I'm going to let you speak in just 1 second, but
absolutely,
it's not all good news for me because your guy won and I now have to drink about six Moscow Mules in about 45 minutes. So for our new listeners, why don't you explain that while I get started?
Absolutely. So we've sort of done a little bit of like a Formula One fantasy bracket with just the two of us. So in the last episode, we ran through our teams with drivers we have, but just in case we've got some new listeners, I'm sure we have new listeners every single week, but I'm going to run through our teams just really fast. And also the first 3 names on both of our lists are captains. So if any of those captains get a win, then obviously the other person has to do a punishment. And Charles Leclerc won today and he is on my team. So we read that his favorite drink is a Moscow Mule. So we thought it was a bit of a fitting punishment if you drank 5 if he wins and then another for the fastest lap. So, and I'm not expecting like giant ass cups, just so you know. I don't want you to get plastered because of this. But
I went to just real quick. I went to the liquor store and Moscow Mule. I found this.
Oh shit!
I got my ring light, but there we go.
Oh my god!
Cabana Coast Moscow Mule, vodka, ginger, lime.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a Moscow Mule, so I just had my first sip, but I'm going to recreate that sip for you and give a quick reading.
I like it,
and let you continue.
Do it.
Nice hints of lime.
Yep.
Pretty good. Like I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but for the first time trying it, yeah, not bad. I can see Charles drinking this in Monaco.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a very Monaco-esque drink.
Yes.
But real quick, so in my team, I've got Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, Pierre Gasly. Those are my captains. Then I've got Lando Norris, Kevin Magnussen, Alex Albon, Valtteri Bottas, Sebastian Vettel. Today it was Nico Hulkenberg, obviously, Esteban Ocon, and Guan Yu Zhou. And you on your team, you've got Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, George Russell, Sergio Perez, Daniel Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, Mick Schumacher, Nicholas Latifi, and Lance Stroll. So yes, and real quick, I'll also give our scores. We are tied this week. Yes. So Leclerc got 26 points, Magnussen 10, Bottas 8, Ocon 6, Zhou 1, Sainz 18, Hamilton 15, Russell 12, Tsunoda 4, Alonso 2, which adds up both of our scores to be 51-51. We both have better odds than Red Bull this season, apparently.
Yes, incredible that. I mean, after just an insane race, but we end up tied.
I know it's crazy. I want just real quick. What was your initial reaction? I mean, obviously, you feel for the drivers, but like, knowing that Lewis went from basically P5 to P3 podium position in a matter of 2 laps, like what was your thoughts when that happened?
Just real quick, that ginger sneaks up on you.
Oh God.
Yeah. So look out as I get more drunk during the podcast. But so my thoughts I feel like I don't need to keep saying as a Lewis Hamilton fan, it's pretty established. I'm literally wearing a Lewis Hamilton hat right now. Yeah. So, I mean, initial reaction was like, woo, like, let's go, cheering. Mm-hmm. Very happy. Okay. I see you cracked something too. I like that.
It's a White Claw, not anything too impressive.
No judgment. Yeah, obviously first initial reaction, seeing first Verstappen was kind of happy to see that, and then Perez just out of nowhere. Like originally, I didn't realize it was the engine. I thought he just like took a spin.
Yeah.
So initial reaction, very happy. Yeah, I mean, after the race, it's sort of, you come down a little bit. I think Lewis himself basically said, without saying that, even he knows they didn't deserve a podium necessarily. Like, that's not any indication that they're going to be like favorites for a podium next week or anything
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll bank the points. We'll take it because, yes, Mercedes is obviously off the pace right now, but it's probably just a matter of time, whether it's a month, 2 months, however long it takes. At some point this season, they probably will catch up. So if they can bank points now, and albeit a lucky way, yeah, I'll take it. Sorry. What was your initial reaction as Verstappen and Perez both went out in about 10 minutes?
So I try to, so there's like, basically I'm bipolar when I watch Formula One. Part of me is like huge Max fan. I like Red Bull. I like Sergio, but then the other part of me is the unbiased fan and I was hardcore going for Ferrari at the same time. So a Ferrari 1-2 was like really, really fucking awesome to me. I was so excited for them, but it was just, that was so painful. Like knowing that it was over, like I was like, okay, he may lose a place or two, but then when they all just started passing him, I was like, son of a bitch. But then my sister and my girlfriend can vouch for me. I was like, okay, they're fine. They got Sergio. He'll get podium. And then he was like, I'm losing power. I was like, I screamed no, like at the top of my lungs. I was so like just distraught. But it wasn't like, like actual, I was just like so into it. And it was like so just somehow already more dramatic than last season. Like
just insane.
Unbelievable.
Like I think you could tell my like emotions were bubbling because if you just look at, like, I was live tweeting the race, Harder Soft F1 on Twitter. Follow at Harder Soft F1 on Twitter. But yeah, and then you can see at one point my tweets go from, like normally written out tweets, like normal, and then it just goes to all caps. At one point, it's just every message is all caps. Like this is insane. Like, so yeah. So yeah, we'll get into the actual details of the race. First, let's talk about the quali, because that's really the first indication we got. Sound good?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into this. I'm extremely excited because, we've done 3 episodes, but, this is really what it's all been building up to this season. And I don't think we could have asked for a better opening Grand Prix, honestly, because
no,
Jesus Christ.
Literally better than like when I'm sitting on the couch, as the lights are going out and like you're just so excited. But I don't think I could have even hoped. Like there was just the chance that one team was going to pull away and it was going to be Leclerc by 20 seconds and it was going to be a boring race. But like start to finish, just unbelievable. So quali, I mean, even Q1, some very interesting results. So I've got it pulled up right here. So I'll just go through the first 5 eliminated after Q1. The 2 last place guys were the 2 Canadians. So
yes,
tough for the guys in North. This isn't our time of year. We're still. It takes us a little while to get warmed up. But yeah, Latifi, Stroll, Ricardo, 18th, didn't make it through Q1. He said he wasn't surprised, but I mean, I was surprised. And then Nico Hulkenberg, Yuki Tsunoda. Nico Hulkenberg, let's talk about this for a second. Nico Hulkenberg outqualifies Lance Stroll. How the fuck?
And he's had like maybe 5% of the amount of time as Lance has. Like
insane. And like his dad, like obviously they have Vettel, but like his dad owns the team, so they're obviously catering anything to what's going to work for Lance, and that's just embarrassing.
It's horrifying.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's mortified.
Clear on what we think of pay drivers. I think everyone kind of thinks the same thing, but that's yikes.
Yeah, there's certain pay drivers that I actually enjoy. Like I love Latifi. He was one of my favorite. Like I feel like he was like the standout guy in Drive to Survive. Like on all the lower tier teams. Like I just loved his interviews and like his demeanor, like behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. I loved it.
Yeah, the whole Williams episode in general, very good. Again, we'll have an episode on that coming up shortly.
For sure.
Any other thoughts after Q1?
It's the Daniel Ricciardo thing. At the time it was like was it because he had COVID and he didn't have a good car? And obviously we now know that it was the car, probably.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you can only put so much of it on him. Just very. That was that's the shock, or that's the takeaway from Q1 for me as well. So Q2 we had, and actually I wrote this down because we talked about last week. We're not going to mess up this pronunciation anymore. So 15th, it's pronounced. He prefers to go by Zhou Guan Yu.
Zhou Guan Yu. Okay.
Zhou Guan Yu. Hold on here. All right, there we go. So yes, Zhou Guan Yu. That's I gotta drink up here. We gotta remember that. So Zhou Guan Yu 15th, which actually very impressive to get into Q2 in his very first race. Albon 14th, Norris 13th, Schumacher 12th, Ocon 11th. Neither McLaren make it into Q3.
Yeah, disaster. And poor Ocon was just nudged out by Pierre Gasly right at the end there too, in his last lap attempt.
Mm-hmm. Very, very disappointing for a couple of guys. Very, very exciting for the guys that made it into Q3. But yeah, other than the obvious McLaren disaster, any surprises or takeaways there for you?
Yeah, I mean, again, besides McLaren, Mick Schumacher getting P12 is insane. I mean, this is only his second season, and just the improvement, obviously, we'll get into Haas's amazing weekend, but yeah, that's like his best result, I'm pretty sure. And it's the first race. So I was just like, damn.
Yeah. No, very impressive on a couple fronts. So then we got to Q3. I was sitting there just holding out hope that this was going to be the moment when Mercedes revved up their engine. And this seems to be the one time that they weren't sandbagging. They were being pretty honest. I mean, I think I sent you a picture like right before Q3, or maybe right before quali, that like they were ninth fastest in the speed trap or the DRS zone in free practice 3. So I was like, okay, there's no chance they're ninth, and they're still not ninth out of 10, but they weren't really sandbagging. So anyways, I'll just run through this quick. Gasly 10th, Russell 9th, horrible quality. He had a lock up on the first turn. Yep. Alonso 8th, Magnussen 7th. Unbelievable. I know we want to talk on that. Bottas 6th, Hamilton 5th, Perez 4th, pretty good quality for him. Sainz 3rd, Verstappen 2nd, and Charles Leclerc takes pole.
Yeah, like absolutely insane. Alonso, actually really surprising because, I mean, from what I at least was anticipating, Alpine did not seem very strong, but they actually seem to have a pretty decent midfield car that can at least compete for points. Obviously, because I believe, they both got points.
Yeah, Alpine and Alonso. Yep, sure did.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane that 4 teams have 0 points and 2 of them are Red Bull and McLaren, and it's just, I mean, Alpine is 5th, Haas is 3rd. Like,
I know, I was saving that. That was going to be my I was hoping just that there was some chance that you hadn't looked at the constructor standings, because I was just waiting to drop that bomb on you that Haas are in 3rd place.
Yes.
And literally the bottom of the list, McLaren, Red Bull, just obviously it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyways. That's going to change, but just it's also interesting. I guess it's probably always been like this, but it's the first time I've really noticed it. If you go to the Formula One website for the standings, when they list the teams, for example, Haas says Ferrari Haas or Haas Ferrari, so the first couple, I think Alfa Romeo also says Haas Alfa Romeo, or sorry, Ferrari Alfa Romeo. So it's just interesting that they are affiliated, but that they don't just list them individually. So I think that's probably about it on quali. Max almost. That last couple seconds of quali was very exciting. Max just almost got just almost got pole. That's gonna happen the more that these go down. But Max almost put it on the pole, but he didn't. So I think anything else on quali? I do want to ask. Anything else before I ask my question?
Um, it's just the only thing I would like to note is how close Max and Carlos's quality times are, because like it's insane.
What is it?
130.681 and Carlos is 130.687.
Oh wow.
So a difference of 0.006 seconds. What is that?
Yeah.
1 or
1
hundredths? Yeah, that's
like
1,000.
hundredths, thousandths.
Yeah, so that's 6 thousandths of a second. Like that is insane.
That's our chassis moment this week.
Yes.
Remember last week? Chassis.
Yeah.
Chassis. But yeah.
Chassis.
Yeah. That's one thing. That's a moment where it's not a bad thing to not have many listeners yet.
Right.
We get the part online. Yeah. So I guess I just want to ask you, like, going in between quali and the race, what were your thoughts? Like, what did you think between quali and race? What were your like pre-race thoughts, I guess?
My honest prediction was I was like, I think Ferrari's probably going to edge it out. I was fully anticipating Max to not get first place, but to at least get podium. And once the race actually started, it was kind of close. I did expect, I saw Mercedes at least, fifth or sixth. I couldn't see them going any lower because they have a pretty decent car. They just don't have the best car, basically, which is not what people are used to with Mercedes. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Excuse me.
Those Moscows.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's
love
lovely.
it.
Yeah, just
dude, I hope for your sake, Charles doesn't have a win every single week. Like, let's hope he doesn't utterly dominate this season.
Those nice folks out there at Cabana Coast. If you have a little bit of dispensable income, let me start that again. Those nice folks out there, Cabana Coast. If you have some dispensable income and you would like to sponsor an up and coming podcast that could soon be the number one F1 podcast in North America,
we think.
Get on it now. Cabana Coast, the most delicious Moscow Mule I've had in my life.
Absolutely, bro. I am not even in Canada, and I can just tell how delicious those are.
So good.
Hashtag right. Not a sponsor.
No free ads. No free ads. Okay, so enough. Anyways, I'm moving on. Yeah, no, I was pretty much the same. I always just have that, not fear, but kind of anticipation that Max is going to will his way into first at some point in the race. And like he kind of did. But I also was just so curious for turn one. Like there was no way to determine in quality or practice what was going to, like, obviously that's just such a unique situation. 20 cars going into a turn at once, basically. And I thought there would probably be a safety car on the first lap, just because all these cars are new. Someone's gonna try and push too hard. Something's gonna happen, and nothing. Like we almost went the entire race with no safety cars. Almost went the entire race with all 20 cars finishing. Like that in itself is unbelievable in a new era of cars, like completely different. So that in itself was fascinating. But so on to the race. Oh yeah. So, and also I texted you before. I was like, who should I bet on? Because I texted you the odds. So I did bet on Charles and Carlos, the Ferrari boys. So I was an honorary Ferrari fan going into the day. I was surprised. Like Charles' odds were like Max had the best odds, and it was Charles. Charles was like 2.5 to 1. Sainz was like 8.5 to 1. So that was just a good value bet right there.
Absolutely.
So we start the race. As I mentioned, absolutely nothing really in turn one. Pretty clean. And then, I mean, hold on. I'm just going to, in case I miss anything, I'm just pull up my, after I said nothing really out of turn one, and it was Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz, Hamilton, Perez. So Perez a bit of a slow start, but he's kind of notorious for that. And then not too much. Hi, folks. Sorry, my dog just came in. Not really too much happening through the first. Like it was exciting. The cars were racing and they were going close, and we were happy to see that. But not too much craziness off the bat, all of things considered. What was your thoughts through maybe like 10 laps?
I, like you, was very shocked at how clean everybody was racing. I fully, I wasn't necessarily like fully expecting it, but I could have totally seen Verstappen and Leclerc binning it at the start and just causing so much drama. but it didn't happen. I definitely think that will happen this season because they're arguably two of the most aggressive drivers on the grid. So seeing them battle for the world championship is going to be even more dramatic than last season, which who thought was possible, but that's just some of the wonders of this amazing sport. My biggest initial reaction was how far down Bottas dropped. He dropped from P7 to like P14, something like that. He lost 7 or 8 places right at the start, which is unfortunately a little bit of a typical Bottas. He does seem to qualify extremely well, but struggle a little bit in the races. Not every time, but I mean, he does struggle with fighting. But, like we saw later, he ended up getting points, which was amazing. He drove brilliantly and he got a great result at the end of it. But seeing him drop at the start, I was just like, come on. Like, God damn it.
It's so typical of Valtteri. Like,
it is.
That's why I lost the seat. He's great at qualifying. Not a bad racer, like not a very good defender necessarily, but just so bad at race starts. Like if he's not dropping 10 positions, he's taking out half the field or something, So it's just like, just spend like a week in the off season just doing race starts or something, But it's obviously easier said than done. But yeah, that was pretty fascinating. And then around lap 10, I think, Perez passed Hamilton pretty cleanly. Something I think you even said as a Red Bull fan, like I think that goes to show how much faster the Red Bull is. Like that wouldn't happen so easily in a normal world.
Absolutely not.
Perez isn't known for his overtakes, and Hamilton isn't known for letting overtakes happen. So
that's not saying he's a terrible driver or anything. Just saying but it's just saying how fucking good Hamilton is. So there's no way that Perez would have been able to just overtake like so quickly with no problem at all if there wasn't a huge difference between the Red Bull and the Mercedes. So, but I did like that move a lot. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Just the initial battles, it was so intense. That was my first reaction, was just that this is going to be a great season. Like, and I did note that because I watched the live feed on Reddit as well on the r/Formula One, just because I also like reading people's reactions. And I think I read multiple comments within the first 10 laps. People were like, "Oh, great, another boring season with no overtakes." And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Like,
and then
what are you watching?
Then we got like some of the most amazing battles that like we've seen between Max and Charles.
That was next. I don't even there. That's probably better than any. Like obviously drama of Max versus Lewis aside from last year, that's better than any, in my opinion, that I can think of off the top of my head, any head-to-head on-track battle that we saw all of last season. Like those were at least 2 laps. Those guys were just exchanging first, second, very clean. Max on the first turn, like just absolutely sending it.
Yes.
And then he kind of balled at his tires a bit on the one, but unbelievable. Like I said, if they're going to do that every race, I mean, as good as we saw the cars are now at racing each other closely, like there's going to be some crashes. So I mean, that's if you're Sainz or Perez or Hamilton, Russell, one of those guys, even if you are a little bit off the pace and you can't keep up with Max and Charles, which not many people would be able to, you're probably going to kind of luck into some wins if you just hang back and avoid those crashes, because they're bound to happen until it happens 2 or 3 times, and then team principals get involved and we have another version of last year on our hands. So,
exactly. By the way, what did you think about, I know we'll get to that part, but what did you think about sort of the little bit of not redemption, but like, did you have a little bit of PTSD when they had the lap cars unlap themselves? Even Crofty's reaction was like, "Oh my God, like, not this again."
that was, he's like, "I just got over this." Like, that was literally like with the night race too, and like all the lights and it being kind of late in the race. That moment, I mean, even probably for you a little bit, PTSD, not a bad way, but just like, oh no. Like, I mean, even Charles probably was just like, "Fuck, are we kidding me?" But like, just my heart kind of sank. And then he was explaining like, "Oh, here they go, letting the lapped cars pass, and there's 6 lapped cars." Like, just stick on that knife in. Like, all right, can we just have a new season? And like, I've just finished Drive to Survive, and all those painful thoughts were
Yep.
fresh in the mind, and
Absolutely.
obviously Lewis being off the pace, just yeah, that was tough. That was kind of like like, hey, come on, like I'm
I
just trying to
know.
watch a race here. Like obviously, I'm glad they pointed it out because everybody was thinking the same thing. But
Yep.
yeah, it's just one of those like, fuck, can I just not enjoy this race? Like
I know.
I'm trying to accept the fact that Lewis isn't going to win. Just you know,
My first thought was I was like, this better not be breaking any fucking rules. Like, please.
yeah, big first test.
Yeah. I will say that as far as the stewards go, they were on top of
Mhm.
things because they went from the virtual safety car to a real safety car within a matter of like 10 seconds. Like they adapted. And I feel like you know, if it had been the same exact lineup of stewards as it was last season, it probably would have been a bigger mess. But it seemed that
Yeah,
things got wrapped up really quickly. But yeah, that Alpha Tauri catching fire was something.
yeah,
I didn't even think that it could lead to. I was like, oh, there's one Red Bull engine. I didn't realize that
yeah. It's so
50% of yeah. Oh
yeah. Just one thing with the marshals, like even like they handed out that 5 second drive through penalty, I think, to Ocon, and there was a warning early on. So they were really like they were on top of things. You know, they were even gave like a warning to Lewis about track limits. Just they were on top of it. They were quick. They were concise. There wasn't any. I know we're not going to hear the back and forth this year, but there wasn't any of that. It was
yep.
just nice to. It's a tough position as like any referee in sports. Pretty much, if you don't notice them, they've done a good job.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's kind of what I was gonna say about that. But yeah, towards as the engines go, is very fascinating the flip that happened because halfway through the race it was okay, everyone that's hated Mercedes and F1, or sorry, Mercedes and Lewis and all their winning in F1 for all these years, this could be a good year for them because Mercedes was clearly off the pace, and all of their cars, like I think the last 6th place cars at one point were Mercedes engines. And
Yeah.
then within the last 10, 15 laps of the race, not that the Mercedes cars got faster, but the Ferrari engines, or sorry, not the Ferrari engines, the Red Bull engines, 3 of the 4 just completely fail.
Yep.
So like obviously the 2 Red Bulls, and then Gasly with the engine fire, which that kind of came out of nowhere. Like it was,
Yeah, that was scary.
yeah. And I started watching on F1 TV, but they didn't have. I guess they switched to for some reason this year. They don't have Crofty announcing. I can't listen to a race without Crofty. So I
Yeah.
switched to like our cable one here, but there's commercials. So that happened during a commercial. So I actually thought he crashed, and I was kind of like, oh, like what is going on?
Oh
But yeah,
shit.
that engine fire, like it was during a very interesting time too, because it was supposed to be like we all thought it was gonna be like a 2-stop race probably,
Yep.
and very like within like 30 laps, it was like okay, this is gonna be a 3-stop, and so guys are pitting out of nowhere, left and right. Verstappen started talking about having an issue. I'm gonna get into that in a minute, and then Gasly, his car is just on fire. And like
Yep.
the entire back of it. I still actually don't necessarily know what happened. I've been so wrapped up in all the other storylines. I don't necessarily know what happened to that. So maybe you do. But yeah, that was a very like just going from Charles and Max going back and forth to Max starting to bitch and moan on his radio to the fire and the safety car and all the nostalgia of how last year ended. It was just
Yep.
like, wow, this is, as they would say on the Bronx, this is mega.
It is.
Like it
It's
was,
mega.
it's mega. Well, sounds like MAGA, but hey,
Uh,
we're not going to go into that.
no. But it is, of course, typical that the previous world champion comes into the first race bitching over the radio.
Oh
Like
my God.
it's traditions. Like so, there's just so much about this Grand Prix. It's just if you are a fan of F1 at all, it was just like an amazing ride. Like even as a Red Bull fan, it was an amazing time. Like incredible race.
Yeah, I'm
Absolutely
just gonna
amazing.
finish wrapping up the like details of the race, and then we have to talk about Verstappen's radios because, sheesh, there's a lot to go over there.
Yeah.
But okay, so 5 laps to go. Leclerc is, I mean, this is after the safety car. Guys are pitting left and right. Gasly, car is taken off track. Everything looks good. Looks like we're gonna have. There's a chance that Verstappen could catch Leclerc, but it's not looking like it's likely. But still a great race. And then out of nowhere, Verstappen is more insistent that there is something wrong with this car. And it's sort of strange in hindsight that the engineers were kind of like, not really anything that we can detect, but keep going, like nothing we can really do about it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking like, okay, maybe he's going to slow down a bit. And then out of nowhere, the car basically just drops places. And I'm like, wait, is it Lewis just past Max? Like, and then he pulls into the pit lane and his car's done.
Yeah.
And like, that's insane. Like, holy shit, Max is out. That's wild. That wasn't even the most wild thing that was about to happen. Like a couple of minutes later, we get to the last lap. And so Max is out. It's looking like it's going to be the two Ferraris, and then Perez. Hamilton is on his keister, but he's not likely to catch him. DRS, he didn't have really the pull. So anyways, it would have been a battle, but he probably wouldn't have caught him. And then they go around turn one and Perez spins out. And I haven't seen the close replay, but live, it was kind of like, oh, I'm surprised Lewis avoided that. I'm not saying he was like incredible to a basic maneuver or anything. I was just like, we usually, when that happens out of nowhere, you think the guy's going to crash into him, but
no, yeah,
incredible. And then that was that. Come around, Leclerc wins, Sainz second, Hamilton third. Wow.
Yeah. I initially thought when Perez spun out, I was like, I just thought he binned it. I was like, up, he choked. He choked. He can't. I was like, he can't defend. But then it was like, oh no, his engine failed too, and it locked his back wheels up, and he couldn't even move. Like you said, it was definitely a good maneuver of Hamilton to completely avoid him, because he was right on him. So could have been bad. Could have been even worse for Mercedes, or not even worse, because they ended up with a great result. But I would say overall, not a great weekend, but great results. But it was just unbelievable, like disaster for Red Bull. And hearing the crowd, like you could just hear how loud the groans were from the crowd. It was insane. And it was just like so heartbreaking for both of those guys. Yeah, for me.
Yeah, and like even, I mean, Lewis is very diplomatic in his post comments, because he seemed genuinely sad. I feel for but he didn't name them. He just said, I feel for those two I feel for the two drivers. Like he wasn't going to say Max,
No.
But he was very like, he openly said like, I'm so happy for Charles and Carla. Like that was kind of interesting. But I need to get your opinion on what you thought of, aside from heartbreaking, just sort of like the thought process I'm going from, we're going to get probably second and fourth Red Bull, to okay, Verstappen's out, but Perez can still get a podium, to nothing. And then if you want to just wrap it all up into one nice tidy bow, your opinion before I give my opinion on Verstappen's radios today.
Oh gosh, I mean, he definitely seems to be a little more, I think his radios like last season were a little bit heated sometimes, but a lot of them were kind of funny in my opinion. But yeah, he was really bitching today. Like, I won't even lie. The only time I would have maybe agreed with him is when they told him to do a slow out lap, which even that makes me think maybe they knew there was an issue long before he did, because they didn't want him to push too hard, perhaps. Because like he said, I mean, it wouldn't have mattered in the end, but if he had done a fast out lap, he could have been ahead of Leclerc when Leclerc exited the pits, which could have changed the race if his engine hadn't have failed. So I have to agree with him, but again, the team could have known something was going wrong. So it's more of that I understand his reaction, because I know he says he is going into the season with absolutely no pressure, all the weight's off his shoulders, because he wants it just as bad again. He doesn't want to be just a one-time world champion. He wants it again just as bad as he probably did last season. So I chalk that up to sort of just like emotional. But yeah, some of his messages today were a little rough. I can't lie.
So on the outlap thing, like I initially was like, oh yeah, like I can totally see his point. There was on the broadcast, the guy, he didn't do a great job of explaining it really. He didn't really give the splits very well, but he did mention that like he went through the times, and like those were like Max's fastest laps. So it's like, I don't know how much faster Max could have actually gone, and to make up the time that he was saying he would have needed to make up to get in first. on the broadcast they were just saying that it didn't really add up. Like Max was wrong, is what they were saying, and also like there was no way for him to factor in that their pit stop was, I think, 2 or 3 tenths faster than the Red Bulls, which sounds like nothing, but obviously that's a huge amount in the terms of like catching up and passing. So I don't know, that was interesting to me, but it kind of, given how it ended with him being the one that knew that the engine, something was wrong with it. Yeah, I can't necessarily fault him for that. But yeah, before I talk on that, what did you think as you were watching things go from looking like a very good race for Red Bull to an absolute disaster for Red Bull? Because I have to say it was one of the harder things I've had to sit through and watch. Like it really hurt me, and I'm still just so sad.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's hard to even like put into words. It's making me think that I'm going to be rooting for Ferrari a little bit more this season. Like, I love Red Bull, but like I've said in previous episodes, I also love Ferrari as well. So I'm not just a Red Bull boy, I'm a Ferrari fan as well. But it was a lot to process in the moment.
Yeah,
because it happened so fast, and I was just so disappointed because we missed out on potentially another battle between those two, which could have been for some excellent racing. I do want to comment about Leclerc's racing because, I mean, I think if Max hadn't have had engine failure, it was a guaranteed P2. Leclerc was winning this race. Like 100%. This was Ferrari's weekend, but it ended with the Ferrari P or 1-2, sorry. Which I'm as hurt as I am about Red Bull, I'm equally as happy for Ferrari because, I mean, you can't write a better redemption. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, I know for sure. And it also sets up a good storyline for Red Bull too. You know, they're going to want to push back.
Horner's already calling in Netflix. He's like, get in here.
One thing that how did they not cut to Horner after that? Like I needed, for my soul after last year, I just needed to see an angry Christian Horner. I really did.
Yeah, we saw nothing.
No, and he was usually so prevalent on, like, he was coming on every single broadcast last year mid-race even, which like just anyways, but yeah, on the Verstappen radios, pardon my language, what a little bitch. I mean, just complaining. I'll give him credit, he was actually right. Like, something was wrong with the car.
Yeah.
But like the entire race before that, even just like everything that Tsunoda was getting shit for last year for being like too kind of aggressive towards his radio guys, and the negativity of a driver kind of having a negative vibe towards the team can do that. I mean, no Red Bull's different. I know Verstappen just won a title, but that's not a guy I would want to be on a team with. Lewis Hamilton just such a better humanitarian. Anyway, yeah. Anyways, I won't go off that. I did, but no. In all seriousness, he was right, but it was just like a little much.
You're absolutely right.
I hate Max though, so yeah. The drinks are kicking in.
That's fucking funny. No, I totally agree with you. He does, if something goes wrong and it's even a little bit not his fault, he just turns into a dickhead towards the team. Like, I will totally admit that he plays the asshole very, very well. And I mean, that's kind of what Red Bull have kind of set themselves up as. They're like, we're the assholes. We want to come in here and fuck shit up. We want to win.
Yeah, that's like the Red Bull. Yeah, like their brand too, like in general, you know.
Part of me likes that, but then there's the Horner going too far and Helmut Marko, you know, saying the things that he says, and of course Max's antics. I can absolutely see why people are not Red Bull fans. Like, I'm not gonna die on that hill. You know, I totally acknowledge their faults.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely, but sometimes it's just funny to me, honestly.
Yeah, no, it was like, I was laughing. Like, my brother came out for a few laps and he heard something and he was he's not like a huge F1 fan. He's just kind of getting into it. But even he was laughing. Like, it is funny.
It is.
It's objectively funny, but I think some people laugh for different reasons. Just real quick before we tie that up, was did I miss it? Did we have an explanation for the Gasly fire?
I think from what the statement they said afterwards was that the two Red Bulls had some sort of fuel issue with the fuel line where they lost power. But I think Gasly, they're saying it's an electrical issue. They could all have the same problem though. Like, who knows? Like, maybe if they didn't drop power so suddenly, maybe they could have caught fire in the engine. Like, who knows? But still, 3 out of 4 Red Bull engines having reliability issues is not a good sign for them.
No,
it's not. Yeah.
No, and like I said, the Mercedes engines aren't throughout the board. All their teams that they provide engines for not looking too great either. So Ferrari seemed to have just nailed everything and kind of had a bit of a gift in terms of the other teams not nailing things.
Yeah.
Again, that's gonna be a time, like, we'll see how long that lasts, because there's so much money and so much incentive to improve. Max and Lewis aren't going to sit there and accept that this just isn't their year.
Yeah.
They're gonna do something to improve that. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through the entire I guess results, and then if you want to give any final thoughts on the race before we go into our what do we call them, our like ranking segments.
Yeah, absolutely.
So 3 guys DNF. Gasly was the first to DNF, then Verstappen, then Perez. So from the guys that finished, 17th Hulkenberg, 16th Latifi, 15th Norris, 14th Ricciardo, 13th Albon, 12th Stroll, 11th Mick Schumacher, 10th Zhou Guanyu, nailed that, Fernando Alonso, Yuki Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon, Valtteri Bottas. Sorry, let me give the standings for this. 9th Alonso, 8th Tsunoda, 7th Ocon, 6th Bottas, 5th Kevin Magnussen, 4th George Russell, 3rd Lewis Hamilton, 2nd Carlos Sainz, and Charles Leclerc gets the win and the fastest lap for his 3rd career win, first win for him and Ferrari since 2019. And then just real quick, the constructors: 1st Ferrari, 44 points; 2nd Mercedes, 27 points; 3rd Haas, 10 points; 4th Alfa Romeo, 9 points; 5th Alpine, whoever you say that, 8 points; 6th AlphaTauri, 4 points; and then 7th through 10th all tied with 0. Aston Martin, Williams, McLaren, Red Bull
and last.
So final race thoughts?
2 thoughts. One, absolutely mega race for Kevin Magnussen. Totally, absolutely, probably the best case scenario for them. I can't imagine how thrilled they are and how big of a morale boost they have right now. And even Mick, amazing job. P12, you said?
P11.
Oh yeah, he got just knocked out of the points. Yeah, that's right. That's unfortunate by
let me hear you say it.
Zhou Guanyu.
Let's go. You nailed that.
And then lastly, just by far the best racer of the day to me, Charles Leclerc. Like, reading in depth about the strategies that he used in the battle with Max. If today is a sign of like what's to come, then he is way more ready and composed than Max is, because he read him like a book. He manipulated him, and if you look in the time when Verstappen actually cooked his tires when he went past him, actually, and Leclerc did this numerous times on the straight, he never went up into 8th gear. He stayed in 7th gear because he wanted Verstappen to pass him so he could stay behind him to get him in the second DRS zone, which is just
next level.
It's next level, and he deserves it. He's fucking awesome. Him and Sainz.
That wasn't an accident. He literally mentioned it in his post-race interview.
Yes, so exactly.
That's something you see guys do in like the F1 video game. Like other guys go through the DRS because it's so powerful in the video game. Like, yeah, especially to like let Max Verstappen pass you. Yeah, having the confidence, like, I'm gonna let him pass me so that I can get DRS and pass him back. Just unbelievable.
Love to see it.
Yeah, love to see it. I just had a few quick points on the race.
Yeah.
Takeaways: Ferrari speed, we already mentioned that, unbelievable. The Rebel engines, disappointment. Good engines, obviously, just the reliability just came out of absolutely nowhere. Just so shocking. The close racing, that was obviously the big talking point and the big reason for the regulations, seems to have worked about as good as we could have hoped for. It's only been one race and it's already up and down the lineup. Like there was great battles, midfield, everything. And then a couple teams that just stood out. McLaren, obviously, not good. Haas, unbelievable. Gunther,
Congrats.
Oh, so happy for Gunther. And then Mercedes off the pace. Still just a bit surprising given their general dominance in the past nearly decade. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the race. Now we can maybe move on to our rankings. We have so we have our Haas zone, which not Haas like Haas, HOS, harder soft zone, which I believe we're coining as like not necessarily the best driver in terms of like best car, but like best driver for the day and least valuable, like most valuable, least valuable. Not considering, like, obviously the winner of the race, Charles, is like the most valuable of the day.
Yep.
So he's a reasonable pick, but it could also be someone that didn't have the car to win, but put in an incredible performance, and then
exactly
vice versa.
So there's two parts to the HOS award, basically.
Yes. So would you like to go? I mean, if there's anything else, so hard is good. This guy's got nuts. Hard is good. Soft, not good. So who is your hard Haas zone winner of race one, and who is your soft Haas zone nominee?
So I'm gonna say for the hard, who I think was hardest was Charles Leclerc. I just cannot not give it to him. He displayed like some of the most excellent racing. Like he's clearly so ready for this, and I'm just so excited to see what comes next. For my soft, it's gonna be, oh gosh, I'm gonna say Lando Norris. Extremely disappointing. He qualified ahead of Daniel, but he still somehow managed to fall behind. And yeah, they're 14th and 15th, I believe you said, but without the DNFs, that's much higher. That's 18th and 17th, which is, I would say, borderline unacceptable. Like, how are they so bad? How are they so bad? Like, what happened?
That's arguably as big of a surprise as Haas, you know?
Yes.
So you said Charles and Lando?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm similar. I also have Lando as my soft. Yeah, the car's shit, but him and Charles Leclerc and George Russell, I guess, are the next ones, or they're supposed to be. And sure, there were some things that happen on track that he can't control, but he can't finish behind Daniel in this situation. He just can't.
No.
Like, that's just not acceptable. Yeah, and I love Lando. He's maybe my second favorite driver on the grid, and it just wasn't acceptable. They were an absolute non-factor. Yeah, absolute non-factor. And then my hard, I'm going to give it to Kevin Magnussen.
Yes.
Fifth place for a Haas, a guy that was out of racing for, like, out of F1 for, was it 1 year? 1 year out of F1 completely?
Yeah.
Plus with the COVID stuff, it's hard to like judge times, but yeah, like he said, he thought he was preparing for some like 12-hour Sakir or something race. No, Sakir. So he was preparing for some 12-hour race, and then he gets the call, jumps in. Unbelievable. Like, I hope he can get a podium at some point this year.
Me too, man.
Oh, like, he deserves it. See Gunther, that big smile. Not a little smile. Big smile on Gunther, just unbelievable. And like Mick was close to points too. He had a few errors that are kind of uncharacteristic of him, but he's going to be in the points too. Like Haas looked great.
Yeah, they will not be in the bottom tier, which is amazing for them, because last season they finished last, if I'm not mistaken. They were the only team.
Points, right?
Yeah, they were the only team that couldn't score a single point. And their best finish last season was like Mick in like what, 15th, something like that. in Hungary, or
Yeah, something like
it's
that. And those are races where guys crashed out and stuff like that, right? So it's
exactly. And Mazepin's best was finished was like an 18th or 17th.
yeah,
It's just
his big
it's
rain decision
amazing.
in Russia.
Yeah, he's
That
like,
was a,
I beat Latifi.
yeah,
I'm a great driver. No,
yeah. Like,
fuck
oh,
that guy.
you beat Mick. Like, yeah, Mick didn't finish the race, but all right.
It's just, and I know Haas has said that obviously they haven't paid back the sponsor money because of sanctions, but they said something about like that it's put to the side, that they're not using their money, that there's other sponsors.
Okay.
But regardless, they're going to be in a higher position this season, which means they're going to get more money at the end of the year. So they're going to
Absolutely.
make an even better car. Like the fact that they have such a competing car, a competitive car, when they finished last season
And last by
is
a wide margin. Like,
yes,
obviously Mazepin was shipped. Even Schumacher was like
struggling.
in Q1, he was there off the pace by 2-3 seconds of
Yeah.
getting into Q2. Like it was embarrassing. Like even in Drive to Survive, like Gunther was just, we just want to get through. We just want to survive this season. Like there was no illusions of any success happening whatsoever.
The car was absolute shit, and they had a shit driver as well.
Yeah,
a rookie and a shit driver.
Yeah,
which was who was also a rookie.
Everything's changed. Like this is going to make Mick a way better driver. Having Magnussen back is unbelievable. Like just even seeing him in his post race interview, like he's happy. Everyone's happy. You know, when Gunther Steiner and Haas are happy, I'm happy.
Yeah, the world is happy. F1 fans are happy. They could finish. They could finish fourth in the constructors this year.
I was literally just looking at it. Like it's Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, and then it is literally wide open after that.
Yes,
like they wide open. I don't know.
And even if they don't finish fourth, they finish fifth or even sixth. The money is going to be way bigger, the prize cap, than last year. So I have nothing but good things expected for this team. Like, let's see Kevin Magnussen and Mick Schumacher kick some ass. Like, I'm so excited.
100%. And if it keeps going out this way, like I think it was going to be a very interesting decision for next year whether they keep Kevin Magnussen or not. But I mean, it's a no-brainer if he keeps doing this. Like you can't let him go if he's put like a fifth place. Like I know obviously the two Red Bulls crashed out, so it's more like seventh, but
still
even that, like unbelievable. And just quickly, like Tsunoda getting points, Zhou Guanyu getting points, very, very like in your very first race getting points. That's very, very impressive. So good for those guys. Tsunoda moved up the grid a ton. Yes. I didn't necessarily see any like crazy moves they did or anything, but just given that he's probably on the hot seat if he doesn't perform this year, especially with the way Red Bull, which obviously they manage AlphaTauri, given the way they control their drivers, he's on the hot seat. I think it's safe to say for this season if he doesn't perform. So yeah, and then I think the next, you can, if you have anything else you want to add, Ken, the next one I didn't give you a chance to really prep for this, so I'll go first on this one. Sure. Just plain and simple, best and worst moment from the race.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, best, and like I try to think of more outside of the box ones for these, but it's the first race we're warming up to. Best, the Charles and Max battle. Like that was just like my jaw was on the floor. It was unbelievable. Like just unbelievable racing. And I can't even like explain it. Just I think even get people that aren't like hugely into F1 could watch that and been like, oh, this is exciting. And the job that
so
Crofty
compelling
and the announcers do, just the like what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word, but just like the dramatics and the theatrics, the show that F1 puts on is unbelievable. And
it gives me chills.
Yeah, no, it literally does. And the new when you sent me the new F1 theme for the year, just that like dun, 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 like it just gives you chills every time. But and then my worst would be, there's a lot of options for this, nothing like ridiculous. There wasn't anyone that I was like, oh, this guy fucked up. But the worst moment I guess was probably the Gasly fire for me, just seeing that, because the way it happened to me too, with it being in commercial, so I didn't know, like I thought maybe he crashed, like I just saw the fire and I was like, whoa, what happened here? Especially when the whole race was so clean up until that point. There was a safety car. I was trying to like I don't know if they probably do this in the US too, but it's like they go to commercial, but they keep like just like a tiny percent of the screen, maybe like
Yep.
15% of the screen on the race. So I'm like really standing
that.
at the screen looking like what is going on here? And like I'm trying to like live tweet, so I'm like Gasly crashes, Gasly, like I didn't know what's going on. So that for me was the worst, I guess, worst moment of the race. How about you? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, so don't worry.
No. This is what this podcast is about. Quick reactions,
All right.
conversations. It's Red Bull. What the fuck are you doing? How does both of your cars die in less than 5 laps to go? Like,
wait, is this your best moment or your worst moment?
Worst moment. Sorry, I should have prefaced that.
I know, because that could have qualified as my best moment. I'm just saying. Anyways,
no,
go
ahead. God, but it's just by far the worst moment. And just so I'm not repeating what you said for the best moment, definitely the 1-2 for Ferrari. That's so exciting. It's I will always cheer for Red Bull. I'm a Red Bull fan. I can say that. But this year, I'm all in on Ferrari.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. Like, I'm holding out hope for Mercedes. But for me, it's actually, I guess I was going to say for me, it's more Lewis than it is Mercedes. But I do love Toto as well. I'm not going to lie. I love me some Toto. And his like, family, his son, Jack, in Drive to Survive, so cute. Like the cutest little kid. So I guess I can't really say that I'm not all in on Mercedes, because I am. But yeah, I'm definitely rooting for Ferrari if it's Ferrari Red Bull. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I totally agree. I was gonna say the interviews with his wife in Drive to Survive. Yeah, she's extremely intelligent and like
she used to be a race car driver too.
Yeah, she clearly knows a lot. So like that is like the biggest power couple in racing. Like, amazing. And the smirk he had during the post-race interview was just like, I was like, I love that. Like, I can't imagine how it's not redemption by any means, but it's got to feel a little good that coming off of the last season that the Red Bull is just in hysterics. It's got to make them so happy.
Yeah. Like the safety car situation, even though it had nothing to do with the safety car, after the safety car, they both went out. But yeah, just like the final line from Drive to Survive, which kind of ridiculous, but that they even like clearly they like just filmed that because he was wearing like complete different outfit and everything. But with Total Wolf, they're like, does Red Bull have a target on their back for next season? Everybody has a target on their back for next season. Like, I just can't not think of that every time I see him now, and I love it. Like, I love his Arnold Schwarzenegger accent. I love Toto. So yeah, it's a little bit like, unless things change, that quote is going to ring a little bit hollow because they're probably not going to win the constructors. In fact, I hope Ferrari wins the constructors this year. It'd be good for the sport to have a different team win. I obviously would like Lewis to still win the drivers' championship. I don't think that's going to happen this year, but you never know. But clearly, I'm going to root for Charles over Max with all of my heart. So I'm an honorary Ferrari fan now, and like I think we all grew up like. I wasn't an F1 fan necessarily growing up, but like in the Schumacher days, like the thing I always think of from like the start of Drive to Survive is, I think it was probably Will Buxton, but pointed out like when you're a kid and you think of a fast race car, at least for me, like you think of a red car.
No, 100%.
Like that's in your brain because of Michael Schumacher and Ferrari. So just like when you think of F1, it's Ferrari. It's not Red Bull. It's not Mercedes. It's Ferrari.
No.
So it's good for the sport. And Monza this year is going to be an absolute gong show. So
it is. It's going to be amazing. I don't think McLaren will have as much luck at Monza this year, but maybe Ferrari will have a little bit more luck.
Yeah, like we have a repeat of this weekend. Like the Red Bull crashes aside. I mean, okay, I digress. If we have a repeat, a 1-2, my point is, if we have a 1-2 Ferrari in Monza this year, even in Imola, because that's Italy, yes, yeah. So even in Imola, like it's going to be good scenes because those Ferrari fans very passionate. They've been biding their time. A few years ago, like they were ready to just throw in the towel and start from scratch. So yeah, great. Just great for the sport, honestly. Like I don't think you can't really look at it and be like that angry.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like you said, if it's between Charles and Max, like today, I was like Charles P1, Max P2. Like if I could pick what would happen, I want this for Ferrari. I want a Ferrari dominated season. I'm just ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how long that lasts because at a certain point, there's going to be some animosity, and
For sure.
I'm very curious to see. I'm going to stay on you because Charles, I don't know, at some point, you're going to have to decide between Max and Charles if it gets heated like it did with Lewis and Max. I'm very
Yep.
curious. I'm very curious to see which way you sway.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to give an answer if that comes.
Mm.
But I'm so fucking excited. It's going to be incredible. I think I know you're rooting for Lewis to win the drivers championship this year, but I think him not winning this season gives him a better chance of him coming back for another season.
That is,
I feel like if he wins this year, curtains. That's it.
you're a
But
smart man. That's a good point. That's going to be what I hold on to now for the rest of the season. Thank you for that.
I fear for Lewis, but hey, you're kind of in a best case scenario. You either get him to be the proven goat, the most world championships of any driver ever, or you get to watch him drive longer. So it's kind of a win-win. But
That is a very good point.
it makes me feel for him too a little bit though, because like if that is what he's decided, he's like, I just want the eighth and then I'm done. Like that could be a little bit maddening if it takes a couple more seasons to get there, you know?
Yeah.
Just no, if that's the goal he has in his head, then God, I feel for him.
Yeah, because there's definitely, I don't think they'll admit it till he retires, but there was conversations in the offseason, like between Lewis and Toto or Mercedes that like I want to come back and win my eighth, but if our car is not competitive, I don't want to come back. And him leaving after what happened at the end of last season would have been obviously horrible for F1 because there's arguably GOAT is leaving on horrible terms, but it would have sent such a message. Like that would have been huge. Like that would have been one hell of a way to go out, just being like, fuck you, I'm out. And
yeah,
so if they don't, like, say he goes this year, they don't win. Next year he doesn't win. Next year he doesn't win, and he goes maybe he goes 3 more years, let's say, and he doesn't win any more titles. Max wins 2, Charles wins 1. Let's just say that. It doesn't put like a damper on his legacy by any means, but
no.
And he can look back and be like, you know what, if I would have left after that, that would have been the time to leave. And he's not a guy that seems like he's gonna he has many regrets or like stuff like that. So yeah, that's what just leads me to believe it's kind of the same with Max, obviously for different reasons, and Red Bull is on the pace, but I don't think it's only been one race, 22 left. I don't think, despite Ferrari's dominance here throughout every session, fastest lap, quality, pole, 1-2, but I don't think you can just give them the constructors and Charles the driver championship. Not that we have, but
no, yeah, absolutely.
It's obviously it's way too early to just like those people that you're saying on the F1 Reddit, like, oh, another boring season. Like, no
way.
I think if anything, today showed this is going to be a season for the ages. And
absolutely,
yeah. So do we want to give? I guess because we're not going to record again before next race. So quickly, do we want to give our predictions for Saudi Arabia, Jeddah?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's kick it. Let's finish this off with our predictions. I will say next weekend we will be starting the weigh-in segment. Yes. I've got a scale coming in Amazon. It should be here tomorrow, so we'll be actually able to track some progress. Hopefully by next week we'll find a way to actually tie that in somehow, or whatever. Either way, we're making progress. But my predictions for next week: more Ferrari dominance. I think Red Bull's gonna come back, get some points. Hopefully they have their reliability issues fixed, but I still foresee Ferrari dominance.
Okay, so what's your podium? Or do you want to go quali 1, 2, 3 and then race 1, 2, 3? Let's do that.
Okay, quali Jeddah next week. I'm gonna say Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton again. And then race, I'm going to go Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, Jeddah. I mean, we saw it at the end of last year. Awesome track, just so fast. A couple slow corners, but it's a good mix. But just so fast. Yeah, my quality list. I think Charles is going to take pole, Max second, Sainz third. But I think in the race, I think that there's going to be something a little bit crazy that happens in the race in terms of crashes. I think Max is going to win next week. I think he has a fire lit under his ass.
We'll see.
He clearly saw he's pissed.
Yeah, he's pissed.
He's pissed. I think that's exactly what I text you. Max is pissed. And then Charles second. And this is just maybe wishful thinking, but I'm going to put this down there. And if this happens, I'm retweeting this clip next week. Kevin Magnussen will finish third place next week and get his first pole. That's going to happen.
I hope it does.
Let me replay that. Not his first pole, his first podium. Of the year. So yes, his first podium of the year, third place, Kevin Magnussen. I think something's going to happen. I hope it's not Lewis that gets taken out, but I think there's going to be some incidents next week. It's going to be a bit of a crazy race.
At Jeddah, 100%.
That they're not taking any time off. We're back again in a couple days. So pumped for that. This has been so much fun. Sorry if I was rambling a little bit.
Hell no, bro. This has been amazing.
6 drinks, but I'm finishing my 4th. I'll get to the 5th before we officially stop recording. So
yes,
couldn't get through the 6, but these are tall boys and they're 7%. And as you can hear, I'm already slurring a little bit. So
man, next time I'm okay with counting one of those cans as 2, honestly, because goddamn, I'm impressed.
Again, Cabana Coast.
Sponsor us.
This is the podcast you want to sponsor.
Yes. I think that's a great way to segue to the outro. We do joke about the sponsors, but that's totally something that we are aiming for one day. Obviously the season's kicking off, so we're going to be ramping up a lot of promotion for this show. We're going to be updating some things. I'm going to be updating some of the graphics. And of course, we're just improving the quality every single week. The energy is up. We're inspired. We're motivated. We're excited. We're hyped. And thank you all for listening. If you're out there listening, do us a favor, rate us 5 stars, share the podcast, just tell a friend, whatever you can do, because a little bit goes a long way, especially for a brand new podcast. So we're super excited for this season. And that's all for me. Is there anything you want to add before we sign off?
Just please, if you listen, absolutely reach out, whether it's on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube comments. We would love to hear from anyone that's listening, whether you're a new fan to F1, whether you're a veteran fan, whether you think we're doing a good job, a bad job, whatever it is. We're going to try and be a lot more active with social media and stuff. So yeah, please reach out. Let us know how you think we're doing. And we really appreciate anyone that has been along for the ride and will be along for the ride. This was a lot of fun for me. I enjoyed it this week, and I'm really, really looking forward to the season. I think
hell yes,
pretty much the best, aside from Lewis winning, this is pretty much the best opening race that I could have hoped for. And
oh hell yeah,
was it Scuderia, the Scuderia, or looking
Scuderia Ferrari?
That's right. Perfect thing to end on right there. Give me another one of those.
Well, Scuderia Ferrari. I'm probably pronouncing it Scuderia, something like that.
No, you nailed it. You have to do it again. You have to give a confident one, and then see you next week.
Yes, Scuderia Ferrari. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Subreddit coming soon. See you guys.